Tonight, Tropical Depression 3E forms in the eastern Pacific, joining Hurricane Blas, which is probably peaking at this point. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for June 17th. Well, here we are with a new depression on the map that is 3E that joins Hurricane Blas, which has maintained its Category 1 status over the last 24 hours. The total storm count for this year remains 29, although it looks like we could be hitting the 30 mark by tomorrow evening. The average is 92 storms per year. It's day 17 of Atlantic hurricane season, and it looks like the battle of 93Es has finished. With 93E becoming 3E and 93L pretty much having killed itself, it's now down to 10% chance of forming thanks to how much time it was over land. In the eastern Pacific, we have Hurricane Blas, as mentioned, and then we also have 3E. 3E is probably gonna become a tropical storm, move erratically over the next day or so before finally turning westwards. Blas is expected to start weakening by tomorrow and will likely be a remnant low by the end of the weekend. In the western Pacific, there is nothing active and nothing expected in the next 5 days. I sound like a broken record at this point. Some signs that we might get something eventually, maybe a week and a half or two, but as of right now, it does not look like there is going to be much of anything going on through the rest of June. In the North Indian Ocean, it's the same picture here. There is nothing to note and nothing expected in the next 5 days. It's all quiet here. We are past the first peak of the season, and now that we're getting into summer in a few days here, it really does not look like there'll be anything in the near future. Here is the Atlantic satellite imagery. You can see an extratropical low that's been getting itself together to the west of the Iberian Peninsula. You're seeing another extratropical low that's trying to get itself together to the south-southeast of Newfoundland. And really the only actual major feature is, of course, the eastern Pacific. Other than that, nothing really going on in the Atlantic. In the eastern Pacific, you can see Blas quite clearly there. It's that large spinny cloud that you see south of Mexico. And then there is 3E that is right to the right of your screen there. It doesn't really look too put together. It looks like it's kind of connected a bit to Blas just due to the close proximity and the large nature of Blas. But to the west of Blas, there's really nothing going on. It's just a bunch of dry air, really. And that's going to be something that Blas is going to be going into and weakening in a few days. In the western Pacific, we pretty much went into the tropical part of it just so you can see how little there is. It's just a mess, really, in terms of anything that would likely develop. There's just nothing that could piece itself together. I mean, between the fronts, between the elongated lows, there really is nothing that's going to be developing anytime soon in the western Pacific. In the North Indian Ocean, it is practically the same spot here. A bit of a break in the monsoon in the Bay of Bengal, and then of course the Arabian Sea, as always, is looking dry. And then looking at our zoomed in imagery, we're looking at Blas and 3E. It is slightly outdated because RAM satellite imagery kind of hates me at this point, given I did the update on Blas earlier. But this is what we have to work with here. You can see Blas maintaining its convective cluster toward the center, not looking as great on its northern side, but 3E is starting to get its act together. Here are the sea surface temperatures. It's around 28 to 29 where Blas and 3E are currently. Blas, of course, about to enter those 25 to 26 degrees Celsius temperatures. As you head westward, those temperatures do decrease to around 25 to 26. Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean are around 27 to 28 respectively. We're starting to see those temperatures around 29 near the immediate coast of Louisiana. There's even a 30-degree pocket that has formed near the immediate coast of Louisiana, and I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the heat wave that has been affecting the central and southern U.S. In the Bay of Bengal, it's around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius with some pockets of around 30 degrees Celsius across both the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. As you head into the western Pacific, it's around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius with several areas of 30 degrees Celsius, especially east of the Philippines and into the southern portion of the South China Sea. And as you head into the southern hemisphere, it's around 28 degrees Celsius near the Australian region. And as you head westward into the southwestern Indian Ocean, those temperatures do decrease to around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius. Looking on over into the sea surface temperature anomaly side of things, you can see the Atlantic is still above average, indicated by those orange and yellow colors. The blue colors, of course, indicating that weak La Nina and things are being cooler than normal. and the Northwestern Pacific still looking above average, and the North Indian Ocean looking slightly above average compared to normal. Not much really changing this season, that's for sure. So that brings us over to the on this day in 1965. We had Typhoon Dinah, which was peaking at 145 miles an hour. Now, some may be questioning the fact that it was a Category 5 by official JTWC analysis. However, we did notice that in the 1960s, the JTWC had some interesting wind pressure relationships, and we're pretty sure that a 185 mile an hour, 935 millibar storm cannot really exist. So as a result, reanalysis has made that downgrade to Category 4. There was also Tropical Storm Wally, which was about to make landfall in Mexico. Of course, the naming lists in the Eastern Pacific were weird back then. In the Atlantic, the next name is Bunny, followed by Colin. In the Eastern Pacific, we may be getting Celia soon, followed by Darby. And in the Central Pacific, while Domino's slogan is, "Oh yes, we did," there is no domino effect that could possibly guarantee Hone. In the Western Pacific, the next name here is Chaba, followed by Irie. And in the North Indian Ocean, the next two names there are Citrang, followed by Mandus. And as always, I'm saying this because there is nothing forming in those two basins in the last 2 months, and not in the next 5 days. In the Australian region, we're looking out for Darian. In the Southwestern Indian Ocean, we've only got 13 days left to get La Llama. In the South Pacific, the next name is Holly. We'll be back for another Tropical Weather Bulletin tomorrow night.